Is it visible?
No, ma'am.
Uh,
Yes, ma'am. Is visible.
okay, I'm putting it on the slideshow mode now. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, is it moving? देख लीजिएगा please.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Let me
ma'am.
know. Is
Okay,
it
ma'am.
moving? Okay, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Greetings of the day to every participant. And today I'm the resource person for this counseling session. I'll be taking MES 005, that is Human Resource and Development. Today we will be discussing the block second, that is Human Resource Management. And we will be discussing on the two units, that is Unit 7 and Unit 8. Unit 7 is Staff Supervision and Discipline, and Unit 8 is Staff Performance and Appraisal. Uh, Now I'll proceed with Unit 7, that is Staff Supervision and Discipline. In this unit, we will be discussing on the various points, that is the head's responsibility, the purpose of supervision, the approaches of supervision, the process of supervision, what do you mean by effective supervision, and what is disciplinary and what are the disciplinary procedures, the head's legal and constitutional responsibilities. So let's begin with the Unit 7. We'll discuss the head's responsibility. We as head, we have the responsibility of all the activities that is being taken place in the school campus itself. We have the responsibility for all everything that takes place in the school. And so it's very necessary for us to ensure that all the tasks are carried out efficiently. Our staff should behave in a professional manner towards each other, and there should be an accountability, not only towards the pupil, but to all the stakeholders of education, that is, the parents, the community, and the wider society as a whole. So we have a lot of responsibility on our head. So when there are certain common goals, when the whole school is working together and fulfilling the educational responsibilities for some common goals, then definitely there will be an effective working in the school itself, because when we have a common goal, then that will be an ideal for all of us to work towards achieving that goal. And as a head, we have to be a responsible person who sets an example of everything. It might be of conduct. We should be reasonable and considerate to others also. And the kind of work which we want the others should do, we must give an example of it possibly beforehand. So other thing is, if we want that we should be appreciated, then try to appreciate others also. We must try to appreciate our staff members and praise them in front of others. And as much as an individual, we don't like to being criticized publicly. So uh, we should look forward that we should not do this in front of others. We must, when we feel good, or when we are getting a positive remark or a praise from our elders, this is how we should praise the others, our colleagues, our the staff members, and that should be done publicly. But criticism, that should be avoided in public. So when what kind of behavior which we want, that should be, expected, and that should be done in front of others also. We as a school head, we do occupy a high status in our schools, and we are actually an effective source of reward, because the kind of words we will utter for the other person, it's a kind of a reward for that person if it is in a positive way, if we are praising that individual. But if we are criticizing them in front of others publicly, we are doing this, then we are actually discouraging that individual. So these are certain responsibilities. You need to make everything work accordingly, efficiently, and you need to see that your staff should behave in a very professional manner. That too, not only with you, but also with your staff members, other staff members, and also with your pupils also. So for this, you have to have, ideal front in front of those uh, on whom you are giving a example. And then we have the purpose of supervision. So why do we require supervision? As a leader or as a head of the school, you cannot do everything. You cannot teach all the classes. You cannot teach all the subjects. You cannot administer everything. You cannot see all the accounts and all the other tasks that are performed for the success of the school. But what you do is you delegate these work to your staff members. And as a head, it's your responsibility, and it's to ensure that all the delegated tasks, they are actually carried out in time and in a very proper manner as you require it. So you need to supervise. Mere just delegating the responsibilities will not give an end to it. You need to supervise, you need to see, you need to find out that whether they are having certain problems or in it, in rendering their services. So you need to see to it. And this you can do. You can have, you can have a meeting with the senior management. You can have the meeting individually or in groups also. And you can, through these meetings, you will be provided a feedback on the administrative functioning of the school and the kind of curriculum which you have implemented and what all developments you require in it. And it's just not like you should only delegate the duties, but you should be an active member. You should be active in the school. You should visit the classes, talk to the teachers. Then only you can talk to the community also. You can know about the community, school community, their people, and what are their requirements. So, you can often prevent the problems also if you you can keep your ear to the ground. At the same time, you need to give a example of self-discipline. You are the role model in front of all the people who are working in the school, the teaching as well as the non-teaching staff. So, in order to make sure that your staff fulfills all the goals, it is necessary that you should also coordinate with them in the different activities and the different tasks which you have delegated to them. Now, what is the purpose of supervision? One is you know the performances of all the staff members, and you also see to it that these are certainly coordinated, and that towards the achievement of the common goal, which we have discussed in the previous slide. And you may help, the supervision may help in removing the bottlenecks which staff members may have come across during the performances. There might be certain competition. You might come across certain hindrances or certain difficulties for goal achievement. So then you can revise the goal, and then you can plan another action plan, and then you can move forward for proper implementation of that plan to achieve the goals of the school. You will be able to see that the task is completed in time and in proper manner when you are supervising. And if there is something which you want to correct, that action will be taken whenever it is necessary. And the personal goals of the staff members and the school vision, mission statement, that should align. And that alignment is actually being proposed by the head teacher. He should be able to know the personal goals of the staff members and also the school's vision, the mission, and the statement, the philosophy and the goals of the school as a whole. Now, next is through supervision, you can go forward for the development of the staff. You will be able to know the needs of the staff, the problems of the staff, and then you can plan for the development of the staff. Then we will discuss about the supervision. Actually, traditionally, when we talk about supervision, it only emphasized on the completion of the task, and that too in a planned manner by the head. And it was always directed towards an individual employee, and it was restricted to passing on the necessary instruction with regard to the task to be carried out. You just gave the instructions to the employee how the task will be performed, in which time frame that task will be performed, and the manner in which the same was required to be carried out. So, the developmental supervision, on the other hand, when we talk about the developmental supervision, we uh, we focus on the development not only of the school, the institution itself, but also on the development of the individual, the staff member who is working in your institution. So, there in the developmental supervision, you focus on integrating the organizational goals with the individual goals, or with the staff members goals, individual goals. And then you focus on building teams and reinforcing the importance of team, how to work in a team. Here you will play the role of the facilitator, not only a supervisor, but you will be a facilitator. You will definitely focus on the task accomplishment, but also you will focus on the staff development. So, this developmental supervision is quite new, and this must be, uh, you know, uh, implemented in the schools, and it's in the due course. But earlier, it was just emphasized, the supervision just emphasized on the accomplishment of task. You know, there was no provision for the staff development. But today we are integrating both the goals, the individual as well as the organizational goals. Now we will discuss about the approaches to supervision, how this is done, how we can focus on not only on the goals of completion of certain tasks, but also on the developments. So basically, now we talk. Every head has its own approach to supervision, but some commonly practiced approaches are being discussed in this slide. The first one is the dictatorial and authoritarian. While, as the name suggests, in this approach, it's the head who decides all the tasks, the manner in which the task is to be accomplished, the time frame within which this task is to be completed, uh, whatever the necessary directions that are being issued and monitored, that are being done by the head itself. The staff member who is given the authority of completing that task has no freedom, or might be a very little freedom in carrying out the task. So there is a lack of initiative among the staff members, and hence, when the whole responsibility is being taken by the head himself, it's a dictatorial approach or authoritarian approach, and the staff members eventually they get demotivated in this kind of approach. The second one is democratic. The tasks are pre-discussed. The head discusses the task with the staff members, and then there is a agreement upon by the staff members. The time frame and the manner in which the task is to be completed are decided not by the head, but they are decided jointly by the staff members as well as the head. And here, the role of the head is to advise and provide resources whenever needed to accomplish the task. And there, he does the review of the performances with the group. He finds whatever he doesn't, he not only gives the advices, but he tries to provide the solution, he tries to provide the sources whenever it is required. So there is a continuous review of the performance within the group. When we talk about the taskmaster, you know, it's here that head feels that the ends are more important than the means. He's not, he's not more inclined towards the review process. This approach implies that the staff members needs close supervision. Here, the taskmaster has no consideration towards the human aspects. He doesn't like anyone doing the mistakes, and he cannot accommodate that mistake. He doesn't like the indisciplinary behavior among his staff member. So when the school head is practicing this approach, then it is often referred to as taskmaster. Now, the fourth one is developmental, as we have discussed earlier in the previous slide, which is an important one, important supervisionary approach, which is common nowadays. In this approach, this believes that there is a concern for staff needs. The goals of the institution and the goals of the staff are they are uh, f- uh, taken into considered together. So there is a concern for the staff need and the welfare, which definitely enhances the quality and the quantity of the task. The head teachers who usually follow this approach, they have a belief and a trust in their staff members, and this gives a greater autonomy of free, frank discussions, independent working hours, independent working styles among the people who are working in the institution. So this is the next one, which should be taken up by the head. Now, there is no single approach to supervision, and the effectiveness of the approach depends on the past practices. If your institution is following certain practices, or the institution has certain attitude, the values, or the culture of the school is such, or the nature of the task, it depends on the different approaches, and the effectiveness of it depends on these various factors. So now we will discuss about the process of supervision. So basically, this process of supervision involves, the first one is deciding the goals. You know, what what are the goals? What are the tasks that I have to be achieved? You know, uh, the time frame might be daily. The task might be achieved in a day, or for that it requires a week, or it might require a month, or quarterly or half yearly, and it depends on the nature of the task. So goals are normally seen in longer time frame perspectives. These tasks are basically those activities which are carried out in order to achieve those goals. So you need to achieve a certain goal, and for fulfilling that goal, you undertake, you plan certain prospective activities which are the task for achieving the goals. So the first and foremost process of supervision requires that you should decide your goal, and then you should plan your tasks. Now, the second is deciding the time schedule. Once the goals are set and the tasks are decided, the second step is to frame the time schedule. The task, there might be plenty of tasks. You might have planned plenty of tasks for the achievement of that particular goal. But these tasks need to be prioritized, and they have to be in a certain time schedule. Like in the school itself, you have the task of completing the syllabus, you have the task of revision of the course, you have the task of examination, you have the task of maintenance of the school. So you need to decide in which time frame, and how these activities and what are the activities which need the priorities first. So you need to decide the timetable in which these activities or tasks are to be carried, and this has to be done in advance after deciding the goals. Now the third is deciding the norms. Now you must see, you must decide that whatever activity you have decided or the task which has to be carried out, you need to decide how it will be done. What's the manner? What's the standard? What are the resources that will be required to complete that task or activities? And then you have to plan for making the provision in the budget, because if you are requiring certain resources, there has to be certain budget provision in the budget itself. Then the task which has to be completed, that has to be included in the teacher's timetable also. Then you have to see who which teacher and which non-teaching staff will be doing such activities, because that will depend on the availability of the staff members. If you have you have your the teaching and the non-teaching staff, you need to prioritize which will be doing this kind of activity, and then these are analyzed and decided at a later stage. Now, then the next thing is assigning the task and activities. After deciding the task and activity, now the next important step is to assign the activities or the task. Everything has to be planned well in advance. Which task will be performed by whom, who will be given the responsibility of performing certain tasks, and since as you have all decided that you might be there might be various subject teachers in your institution, so that particular subject teacher will be entrusted with his or her subject responsibility, like teaching classes. But in a school, there are other activities apart from teaching. There are other extracurricular activities like sports, cultural fest programs, educational tours, the publishing of school magazines. So these tasks are also assigned well before time. So that and as a head teacher, you should make sure that these activity are always rotated among the staff members. This promotes the belongingness to the school. The teacher does not feel segregated or might not feel aloof if he is not given the responsibility. So you need to see that the activities are almost rotated to each and every staff member, and so that they will have a willingness to undertake such tasks and show initiatives into it, and they will have a belongingness to the school also. Now, the process of supervision also involves, what now you can do. Once you have allocated the task, the next step is monitoring. You have allotted the tasks, you have told them the time schedule, you have given the resources and actions plan finalized. Now your role starts. Your role of monitoring starts. And monitoring can be through. You can do it like as a head teacher. You can be an observer. You can frequently visit to the classrooms or the libraries. If you have given entrusted the task to your staff members of delivering the lectures or delivering the class teaching in the classroom, so you can go and observe. You can pay a visit to the classroom. The second one might be you can have an interaction, you can have a discussion with your staff, the students, the parents. Next, you can review the documentation. You have the periodical progress cards, and you can review those documentation. You can have a word on the documents which are presented before you. You can have a word with the staff members, and you can review them. And you should always use a combination of above techniques. You can not only focus on only the observation or the interaction or the review, but they should have a combination of all the techniques. And it monitoring also helps in analyzing. how it is being done, because you can come to know the shortfall in performances also. If you have visited a classroom and you are observing a teacher, you can see the performances in front of you. You can find the gaps, you can find where the teacher is lacking, and problems faced in performances. You can also analyze what are the problems which the teacher is facing during the given task. If he is teaching, then what are the basic problems which he is facing, and you can explore the possible solutions also. You can review your goals and standard if you are the it is not being met during the tasks. So you can have a review on the previous set goals and standards. Then after monitoring, you can go for corrective action also. Corrective action is only organized on the basis of monitoring. Whenever and wherever there is a deviation or a shortfall, or shortfall in performances, or some problems faced in performances, certain corrective action needs to be initiated in the gear up accomplishment. So this corrective action should establish accountability also. You are having the responsibility of such actions. The concern should be on both quality. It should not only on the quantity of the output, but it should be on the quality, and should focus on the improvement also, and what can be improved, what is best and still can be improved. That gives the corrective action, and that is only possible after the monitoring that is done by the school head. Now we will discuss about the effective supervision. You know, the most effective form of supervision takes place when the school head is perceived by the staff, pupils, and parents, and they perceive you as a person who knows everything what is happening within the school. If you are unaware of it, then you you are not having effective supervision. You are not following an effective supervision. Um Although there are certain times when you want that you need to work quietly in your office, and it might be during an interview, but you should try to be visible to your pupils and teachers when they are arriving at the school, and when they are moving from one place to another. You should try to visit your classroom at the start of the morning to greet teachers and pupils. You should make your presence everywhere. You should um, uh, you as perceived by the staff, or by the pupils, or by the parents, you should be perceived as a person who knows everything, whatever is happening within the school. So you should be alert every time, and you should be visible to all your pupils. You should be visible to all your teachers also. They should be aware that they are being supervised frequently by you. And when you pay visits to classroom, uh, you should that should be your everyday activity. You should visit to your classrooms. You should visit um, uh, when you are observing, during your visits, when you're observing your teachers. That might be indicator that you are looking at the conduct of the teachers and pupils, and towards each other also. um, you When you are working in a quiet room, then there has to be a positive appearance of a positive attitude, that there is discipline from within. They should not be disciplined when only when you are in front of them, but they should be in discipline that you are in the school campus itself. Even though you are not visible to them, but they should know that you are there in the school campus, and they are being watched by you. And during this supervisory process, you should also think about the staff appraisal and the staff development. You know, when you have seen that there are certain teachers who are not so efficient enough in fulfilling the classroom duties, or you know that there are certain teachers who are finding difficulty in maintaining the discipline within the classroom, or for the content delivery or for the preparation of the content, they're having certain difficulties. You should be conscious of such need. You should know where and when the teacher requires, and you should not be disturbing. You should be visible in and around the school, but you should not be disturbing that. You should not be seen blaming certain staff members or criticizing your staff members, because that will create attention to the people who will listen to it, or who will be who will get to know that there's something which has been talked about behind the back. So there are evidences of support and common sense notion that will work for one teacher might not work for another. You should know that if you are telling something to one teacher, that might be not be workable to another one. While avoid reliance on either praise or blame. Don't go for blaming, don't go for blaming, but yes, you should have a balance of it. You know, uh, with success and praise, it should be predominant in your day to day task. You should have a stronger action whenever the teacher is not responding to your leadership or failed to in his duties, and there the disciplinary procedures need to begin. So through supervision only you can come to know whether the teacher is performing his duty effectively in an appropriate manner or not. Then if you are not finding that teacher is not effectively doing his work, if he has a certain problem, you should definitely go for the staff development programs. If he requires certain things, you should know about it. So this is only when we have an effective supervision in a school. The next is supervision skills. You should ensure that there is an alignment of the school curriculum, the instructions, and the assessment practices. These should be done in a proper and an appropriate manner. Then you should prominently display your school's mission, their vision statement, the philosophy, and the goals. And you should always refer to them whenever you are speaking with your students, the staff, the parents, and all the stakeholders of the education. Now, next is you should always encourage your teachers to routinely survey their students. That can be done formally and informally. That will give a feedback on the effectiveness of their teaching and assessment strategies also. So that should be done on a continuous basis. You should always encourage that they should talk to their students, and that might be formally or might be informally, so that they can get a feedback on their teaching effectiveness. The next is you should routinely monitor classroom for the amount of time which is being lost to procedural issues like off-task activities. So you need to encourage the effectiveness use of transition times, because whenever we are entrusting a task to someone, uh, there are certain procedural issues. There might be certain procedures for completion of that task, that a lot of time is lost in that procedural thing. So you need to routinely monitor those activities also. And what you can do is monitor the hallways to ensure that all classes are beginning and ending on time. Whenever the bell for the for the period rings, you should always ensure that all classes are beginning and they are ending on the same time. Sometimes you have seen that some teachers are coming to the classroom at late, and they are coming, they are late in the classrooms, and some are ending their uh, classroom teaching before time. So that should be monitored also. You should review the break or the recess time. You should know that if the recess time is given, are the students, having a good use of it? Are they accomplishing what they are intended to? Then, and you can also supervise your students during this recess time. You should also um, review the staff restroom time or the coffee or the lunch breaks also. So you need to think that all the staff members are having the adequate time for restroom, the coffee and the lunch breaks. And you should also maximize the student learning. Um, you should, schedule the school day to maximize the instructional time. Don't go for the, you should not be wasting your time on the procedure or disciplinary actions, and so that every work assigned is achievable, which is actually challenging, but it should be achieved. You should also ensure that teachers provide individual and small group instruction for low achievers within their class. You should also see that when they are low achiever, there should be remedial teaching for them by the teachers concerned. You should also encourage the use of heterogeneous grouping of the students. There should be diversity in the abilities also, ability levels. There should be diversity in the interest. There should be diversity in the gender, in the race. So there should be heterogeneous grouping of the students in any kind of activities which is undertaken. And you should also encourage teachers by praising publicly, and whenever you're talking about some discipline, that should be done privately. And when it comes to dealing with the student behavior, when you are giving a constructive criticism, when you, even though when you are giving a criticism, that should be a constructive one, and that to be given to the to the staff members privately. um, if any angry staff member gives an angry outburst in a public forum, that will definitely damage your reputation and also the climate of the school. So you need to avoid this. And whenever you are criticizing, providing a criticism, that should be constructive one, and that should be done in a private manner with the staff members. And let all the new teachers know that if you have the new hires in your institution, you let all the new hires know that you will be dropping in frequently, and they will be observed. That will be an informal evaluation also, but that will not be monitoring, but that will be assistance in the journey towards their teaching excellence. That will be a help, that will provide help in their teaching journey. So it's not about a monitoring itself, but it's also about the development of the individual, that you have to make sure to your new hires. Now, next is you should also be alert for the signs of stress and burnouts if your teachers are feeling stressed out or they are feeling burnout. So that intervene, if you know this thing, you will be able to intervene early and help them in facing their problems and in resolving their problems. But that is only that is only done when you have these kind of skills in you as a head teacher. Now we will discuss about the discipline. Basically, when we talk about discipline, it has a wide range of meaning. When, in the broader and exalted sense, it means self discipline, where the individual, regulates his behavior, and he tries to into the fit into the larger purposes and tries to fit into the needs of others also. It involves the whole character education. When we are talking in the present discussion, discipline refers to confronting to laid down rules. You know, confirming you, there are certain rules and you are conforming to it. There are certain regulations and instructions that are being issued from time to time and you are following them. This discipline, it creates an environment of orderliness. There is an orderliness in the school environment. And the school environment also helps in gauging the standards of discipline that is prevalent in the school. Discipline, it's not always among the students, it's among the staff, the students, the visitors, those who visit the schools, the parents are equally important. However, today we will be discussing only on the staff discipline, and within this, the rights of the individual and all the members of the school society are also protected. In most of the schools, a set of rules which acts as a code. There is a code of conduct for the staff members also, and for the students, and you need to conform to it. Some rules should be as few, such rules should be as few as possible and should be reasonable. You cannot you not frame a code of conduct. You need to have a discussion on it. Then only you will be able to devise a code of conduct. People should be involved in drawing up schools rules, or pupils, the students, they should be involved in drawing up the schools rules. They, mere formation of the schools rules by the staff members or by the teacher or by the school head, it's not acceptable. The people should be involved for whom the schools rules are being framed. So this is actual disciplinary discipline which creates an order environment of orderliness. Now we will, when we are doing it for the teaching staff, the rules should be drawn up and that should be agreed by the staff members, uh, as far as it possible. um, when we are framing certain rules or regulations, and you should involve the teacher unions or the teachers, and they should have their wide acceptance of those rules. They should also have full cooperation. Even during the staff meetings, you should include the agendas, so that the teachers give you the positive ways to deal with the school matters. There are various countries where the corporal punishment is banned, itself in India also, and discouraged. So, in when we are discussing such things with our colleagues, with our teachers, then we will try to establish an authority in positive ways also. So, when we acts of discipline, when we talk about, in an ideal world, you would be able to trust all the staff to carry out their designated responsibilities in teaching, or if you have given them the responsibility of administration, or you have given them the responsibility of taking care of the people without supervision. When, for the good teachers, those who are positively motivated, your trust is being justified. you know if you are trusting them that they will be performing their duties well, in the proper manner, as with the same trust and responsibilities. This is only possible when, uh, you know um, uh, this is only done by the good teachers who are positively motivated, and your trust is also justified. uh, Such kind of teachers will arrive in good time before the start of the school. They will not take unnecessary leaves without good causes. Their lessons are well prepared in time, and they treat all the pupils with respect, and they are clear in giving the instructions and information in the classes. But all the teachers are not as good as this. There might be few lazy people also in your institution who have certain personal problems, and some of them, but these, the quantity of these people, the number of people are, less. They might be immoral also. There might be some who might improve themselves if with your encouragement and support, and with your understanding. Um, but you need to take a disciplinary action against a teacher who is incompetent or is having a bad character, who is idle. So your reactions will depend on their perception of the teacher and their problem also. So how it is being done, there are various kind of problems that are being faced in the schools, and these are all acts of indiscipline. To name a few of them are like absenteeism. The teachers are being absent frequently. There is insubordination. They lack coordination. They lack insubordination. Now they have a misbehavior issue among these staff members. They are latecomers also, and some those who are not paying attention to the teaching. Once they have entered into the teaching profession, they don't think that their responsibility has stopped towards their students, so they are not paying attention to the teaching. Some who are not covering the syllabus in time, and some are using students for their personal work or for some favor. Um, some are who are doing the sexual abuses with the students also, and some who are inflicting physical punishment. So these are certain problems that are faced in the schools, and these are all indisciplinary actions. So what are the disciplinary procedures? What you will be doing? You know, the procedure to be adopted in maintaining discipline, it varies, to the gravity of misconduct. What's the gravity? What's the level of the misconduct which has been done? Most of the time, the procedure to be adopted will depend on the legal and statutory framework applicable to the particular school in a particular region or a country, and each country will have a different legal framework for the disciplinary action or for the misconduct. However, one common thing is always there, that these disciplinary procedures should be fair and objective. The various alternatives which are available are: the first one is counseling. They might the indisciplinary behavior or the misconduct which has been done by a particular teacher, that might have been influenced by several factors. It might be due to some domestic problems, or might be due to arguments with colleagues. So such behavior I have come to notice for the first time. If that behavior has come to your notice for the first time, and that gravity may not be that serious. For example, someone is coming late, so it's not that serious. That misconduct is not that serious. So you can use counseling as a tool. You can counsel, have a word with that employee regarding that misconduct, and you will be able to modify the behavior of the individual. Secondly, oral reprimand. For this procedure is basically useful when there are minor lapses, and the staff member may be suitably reprimanded orally, pleasantly, not in an unpleasant manner. You should be very pleasantly telling that person. You should tell him or her his professional responsibility, and that should be discussed um, in a private manner. You should have an open discussion with that individual, but that should be done privately. And then we have the advisory memos or the letters or the written warnings. If uh, this procedure is also resorted to for some minor lapses, when despite of counseling and oral reprimand there has been no improvement, then it's not necessary that members should follow counseling. It depends on the circumstances and the gravity of misconduct. When you are giving a written warning, a copy of this should be kept in the file of the staff member. that a written warning has been given to that individual, and that will affect his staff appraisal also. Now next is serious acts of omission that is constituting the misconduct. There might be very serious occasion when staff members they indulge in acts of omission that might be serious misconduct. Or there might be repeated acts of omission which might become serious if it is not handled properly, appropriately. Like if there is a habitual late attendance, habitual absenteeism, then a legal framework comes into play and action has to be organized accordingly. Because if you have already counseled that person, and if you have already given a uh, if you have yes, if you have already have a counseling, and if you have already given a written note or written letter to the individual, then there are certain important steps that need to be followed. The first one is issue of charge sheet that contains the description of the acts that constitutes the misconduct. you know these charges should be specific, it should not be vague. It should contain the date when the misconduct has happened, the time and the place, and where the act has taken place. It should also be precise in nature and the details of the act committed by the staff members. The specific section of your or the rule which is given in the code of conduct should be also quoted, under which the action is proposed to be taken. There might be certain rules regulation that has been given in the code of conduct, so you need to specify that section or the clause of the rule, and the staff member should be given a reasonable opportunity to submit an explanation in writing. When you are issuing a charge sheet, you should give a reasonable opportunity to that individual for whom that charge sheet has been issued, that he should be able to submit an explanation, that too in writing, that not be in oral form. The written explanation, as we have discussed earlier, the written explanation should be examined. Whatever the staff member has given an explanation in writing, that needs to be examined in the light of charges that is being levied against the staff member. And in case the explanation is not satisfactory, then an inquiry should be ordered. And if the explanation is satisfactory and acceptable, the case may be closed. When it is not acceptable, then an inquiry could be ordered. The inquiry officer or the EO and the presenting officer PO should be appointed. These two officers should be appointed who should be looking into the charges and present the case. The EO and the PO could be the other staff members of the school. However, the EO should be equal or in higher status than the charge sheeted staff member. If you have seen that the coordinator, so a member who is higher in status above the coordinator, or might be the another coordinator of your school. So the inquiry officer should have an equal or higher status than the charge sheeted staff member. Now, they should not be connected in any manner to the charges leveled. It means that individual on whom you are entrusting the responsibility of EO, that is inquiring officer, that should not be involved in the act. That should not be a complainant or a witness. Then only he will be given the designed then he will be appointed as an inquiry officer. Then next is what are the principles of natural justice? The charge sheeted employee on whom the act of misconduct is there, who he has done the misconduct. So he should be given a fair and reasonable opportunity to be heard during the inquiry. Like you should not, you should not be very subjective, but you should be given a fair chance. That individual should be given a fair chance and also an opportunity to be heard during the inquiry. And one cannot be judged in one own cause. Like The complainant cannot be the inquiry officer. As we have discussed about the eligibility also, it should not be inquiry officer. And the charge sheeted staff member is given reasonable opportunity to cross examine the witness. If the charge sheeted member, you have produced a witness also by the school management in support of the charges, then he should be, on whom the charge sheeted staff is there, he should be given a reasonable opportunity to cross examine, and the charge sheeted staff member is given a reasonable and fair opportunity to inspect and copy all the documents in support of the charges. If if there are certain charges, you need to submit certain documents in support of these charges. So the charge sheeted staff member has a fair opportunity and has to be given a reasonable and fair opportunity to inspect those documents. The charge sheeted staff member is given a fair and reasonable opportunity to provide additional document if it is required for his or her defense. If he wants that there are certain documents which will help him in defending the case, then the charge sheeted staff member should be provided an opportunity to submit those documents. Now, the various principles of natural justice that includes that the inquiry should be in accordance with the above principles by the EO. You know, the whatever principles we have discussed in the previous slide, the inquiry should be held in accordance with the above principles, and the proceedings are quasi judicial in nature. You know, if the case is led by the PO, and the onus of proving charges lies with the school authorities. However, charge sheeted employees, he can put his or her version with documentary as well as oral evidence, as we have discussed earlier also. And after the inquiry is conducted, the inquiry officer will evaluate all the evidences, whatever support documents are being given by uh, the charge sheeted employee, and that will furnish the inquiry report to the authority who appointed him or her as the EO. As the school head, you might be the authority who has appointed another staff member as EO. Then that EO will, give a report to the authority, that is you. The authority considers the report of finding of the EO. Normally, the appointing authority is disciplinary authority. Fine, it might be the disciplinary authority or it might be the head of the institution. In finding, either charges may be proved or not proved. It might be like the charge sheeted employee charges are proved, or it might not be proved. That might be the result of it. So if the charges are not proved, the charge sheet is withdrawn. you know that means the charge sheeted employee is given another opportunity to showcase against the proposed action. If the charges are proved, then he can, along with the copy of EO report, he can. mm the disciplinary authority has the right to record his or her reasons for disagreement if he's not agreeing to it. Now, next is, upon receiving the reply to show cause notice, a final decision in the matter is taken to award proposed punishment or to reduce punishment or not to award any punishment. And lastly, the staff member has also a right to appeal to the next higher authority if against the award of punishment. If certain punishment is being awarded to the charge sheeted employee, then if he is not in favor of it, then he has the right to appeal into the next higher authority, and the appeal is considered and a final decision is taken by the appellate authority. It is, however, not necessary that the employee might appeal. It is only yet another opportunity available to the employee, to put forward his or her stand in front of another appellate authority. So it might be the decision of the employee to accept the punishment or to accept the reduced punishment or proposed punishment which has been given to him, that he might be able to accept it. If he is not accepting it, then he might appeal to the higher authority. Now, what are the head's legal and constitutional responsibilities? Basically, the school head is also subject to the laws of his or her country. he follows that. He must also obey his constitution. Like in every country there is a constitution, and you need to follow the laws of his or her country. So when we are delegating responsibilities to the staff, you need to arrange for the collection and safekeeping of money. Like for example, you are collecting, you have the school fund. Now, your administrative arrangement need to ensure whatever money is being collected, that should be kept in a safe place. It might be deposited in a bank as soon as possible, or that is so that it is not loaned, or someone of your staff does not borrow it. So, in cases when there is an abuse of responsibility, if people are misusing that fund, and that is money cannot be accounted for, we have no choice but to report that matter. Now that matter will be reported to the police for investigation, and you have to inform the inspector and also to the school board, because that is actually the constitutional responsibility. You need to, as a school head, you need to make um, and delegate the responsibility to the staff. The like you For the school fund, you have delegated some member, but you need to arrange for the collection and also for the safekeeping of the money. You need to ensure that the money is quite kept in a safe place, or it is deposited. Otherwise, that individual, if due to some misconduct, he might take that money and utilize it, or borrow, give it on loan. So that is your responsibility, and money cannot be accounted for, and you have no choice, but you will have to report that matter to the police. You cannot solve the matter inside your the school. So there are certain legal head and constitutional responsibilities also, and you need to take care of the money. That involves a legal responsibility, but you need to have a responsibility to uphold the constitution of the country. While in democratic societies, you need to see that there is a preservation of human rights. You have equal opportunities, that in relation to the gender. And when the school head needs to ensure that the school is a place where the values and attitudes of the society are developed, and the pupils through the conduct of all the staff and example which is set. You have to make sure that if you are entrusting some responsibility, there should be no discrimination on the basis of gender. you know there should be preservation of human rights when you are delegating the roles and responsibilities among your staff members. So there should be no violation of the human rights. So you need to keep this in mind, because this is actually the constitutional responsibility also. It's not only of the legal, but it's the constitutional responsibility which the head teacher has to keep in mind. If he wants that his students should have certain values and attitudes which needs to be developed, then there should these values and these attitudes should be there in the staff, and that staff should be an example to the pupils, because values are never taught, they are always caught. It's when the pupils are seeing you with those values in you, then they will be able to relate to it. They will be able to develop those values in among themselves, among your pupils. So finally, we have come to the end of Unit 7. So basically, if you have any query on Unit 7, you may ask your queries on Unit 7. If you have any queries on Unit 7, you may raise your queries. All right, we'll proceed to the next unit, that is Unit 8, that is Staff Performance and Appraisal. And in this unit, we will be discussing on the purposes of appraisal. What are the requirements for appraisal? What are the various methods of appraisal? the follow-up on appraisal report, the trainings and the developmental activities, and the various benefits of appraisal. This unit is comparatively a shorter unit, and a few of the points have been already discussed in the previous units also. So we might be revising a lot of our previous learnings. So we'll proceed with the purposes of appraisal. Basically, why an appraisal is being done. An appraisal is always directed to help a teacher to become an effective as possible in the teaching learning process, and it's not only helping him to be effective in the teaching learning process, but also also knowing the needs of the teacher for the professional development. Through the appraisal itself, we can, you can, as a school head, you can construct the in-service training and the career prospects of the teachers, of the staff members. So we should not therefore view appraisal as the mechanism for fault finding and criticizing. In a staff appraisal, we are not finding the faults of our staff. We are not basically criticizing, but we are trying to build the teacher's positive self-image through motivation to be a good teacher. And this appraisal, it serves the various purposes, which includes, you know, the staff knows that their performances is being evaluated, and this definitely motivates the employees into increased efforts to perform better. The staff, they know that they are being evaluated, they are being observed, and this helps them, this increases their motivation, this enhances their motivation to perform better. And secondly, it generates information about employees, their nature of duties, what they are doing, what are their skills, what are their unknown skills, what are their competencies that might be discovered. So this staff appraisal generates the information completely about the employee. It's not about finding or criticizing the faults, but it's about their nature of their duties, and also what are their unknown skills are. And it opens another platform of free and frank interaction between the staff and the head teacher. Through the staff appraisal, you give an opportunity for a frank interaction between the staff and the head. Now, it also helps in facilitating the training requirement, the developmental needs of the staff. So, this staff appraisal helps in building the teacher's positive self image, and also, it motivates an individual to be a good teacher as possible. It also facilitates in taking objective decision on determination of reward, pay rise, promotion, or assigning higher responsibilities. This appraisal, it helps the institutional head to decide who the right candidate is for promotion, for giving the higher responsibilities, for assigning the higher responsibilities, or for rewarding the employees through pay rise. So this forms a basis for the decisions of the school head. Now we will talk about the requirement for appraisal. Why this staff appraisal is required? When there is a good appraisal process, the teacher is very honest about his strength and weaknesses. He knows where he requires the help and where he requires the encouragement, when it is needed, where he will require it. And uh, there is a spirit of trust between the school head and the teachers and the teacher being appraised and this whole staff, there is a stress. You know that you are being appraised, and whatever your shortcomings, whatever the weaknesses are, that will be removed through proper training. That will be, heard by the school head, and he will frame the developmental plans. So it follows that you and the senior teacher who is carrying out the appraisal must be a professional person who is respected for his competence and who has a good relationship with the staff. Whosoever is doing the staff appraisal, he or she individual must be a professional person. He should be respected for his or her competencies, and that individual should have a very good relationship with the staff. Now, this means that if you have to give criticism, like if you need to give criticism for lateness or lack of preparation in the classroom, you will give it, you will not give a criticism, but you will try to understand, you will try to make the teacher understand what the particular teacher is lacking, what his needs are, and it's through proper guidance. Your comments should not be in an unkind manner, but it should be very constructive. You know, you When the teacher refuses or is unable to accept the acceptable behavior, then only you need to initiate the disciplinary action in the interest of the learners. If he is not accepting your suggestions, if he is doing repeatedly doing the same task again and again, he is doing the misconduct again and again, then you have to initiate a disciplinary action, just in the interest of the learners also. So if you are seen to be a person who really knows the teacher, the pupils, the classroom reality, then you have the respect for the feelings of teacher and pupils, and therefore this appraisal is always taken place in a spirit of mutual trust and confidence. The individual will be able to be honest about his strength, his weaknesses. He will not wear masks in front of you. He will be able to tell you where his shortcomings is, what skills he requires, and he will be able to discuss his difficulties with you without any hesitation. So that mutual spirit and trust and confidence is required for the staff appraisal. Now we will discuss on the various principles of appraisal. The 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 first one is the
The fortune do we the river.
I rec- I request the learner to kindly mute their mic. I request the learner to kindly mute their mic. All right. Uh, so the various principles of appraisal includes the fairness, you know, that there should not be any kind of assumptions, there should not be biases or stereotypes regarding the individuals by the senior teacher. He should not have the stereotype regarding the individual or whose performances in appraisal is being, he is preparing the staff appraisal of that individual. Then there should be an equal opportunity. All staff should have an opportunity to achieve their potential, and that too through commonly agreed objectives. That should focus on assessing the development and assessing the performances. There should be goals and objectives of the school conformed to its vision and mission, and that should have been imparting it as a distinctive ethos. The head teacher should be committed. He should be committed in providing the opportunities for professional development of the staff, so that they can grow, they can develop, and they altogether they will result into the development of the institution itself. The head teacher should have an understanding of this staff as to what is it is expected out of them, in their work, what are the standards of their work, what are the objectives of their work, what are the key tasks that need to be performed in a work or in a goal which has to be achieved. The head teacher should provide a timely and a constructive feedback to the staff on their performances, and that should be done on a regularity basis, because feedback mechanisms provide efficiency to the to the staff members. The staff members, they know where they are lacking, they know they must be guided towards the effectiveness of their performances. So that should be done on a timely basis. That should be a constructive feedback should be provided to the staff members. Now, when we talk about the next the steps in an appraisal system, we will discuss that we need to define the specific role of each staff member. You know, every individual should be aware of his or her role. What is expected from the staff member, what he is expected to perform, what he is expected to do. You need to set down the criteria of evaluation. You need to, set the factors on which the performances of the staff members is to be evaluated. You need to formulate it beforehand. Now you have to develop an objective staff appraisal system, that is required as per the need and size of the organization. uh, if a small institution is there, then you need to frame a smaller appraisal staff appraisal system, and then you have to discuss this with the team members, the performer of the staff appraisal, and then finalize it. you know and lastly, you need to decide the periodicity of the appraisal. Normally the staff appraisal is done within a year after completion of a academic year. However, when you have a new hire or somebody who is on a probation, then it might be done quarterly or half yearly depending on the tenure of the probation. So what are the methods of appraisal? The first one is personal or the professional development and attendance records. How the individual is coming to the institution, what are the teachers' planning document, how is planning to work in the institution, what are his performances reports, how the tasks have been performed, what are their reports, what are the observation of teachers in the classroom, the observant teachers, what are their observations regarding that individual teacher. You need to discuss or have an interview with the teacher and the appraiser. What are the outcomes of any self appraisal exercises which might have been undertaken? You might have framed a certain kind of questionnaire, and that questionnaire need to be filled by the individual itself, or by the other staff members. Then their outcomes may be undertaken for the appraisal. Now, there are various methods of appraisal. The first one is ACR, that is Annual Confidential Report, that is usually being followed by most of the institutions. This is being, performance is being appraised by another member of the staff. Often it is being done by the senior member. And here, the common method includes the various factors, like regularity, if the individual is regular or not, how punctual he is, how cooperative he is, how the individual is taking initiatives, what are his teaching methodologies, is he adhering to syllabus, how he is dependent. All these factors are rated as, you might have a rating scale of five rating scale that might be outstanding, very good, good, satisfactory, and poor. And this method, but this method is often criticized because the rater, whosoever is being rating, it might have an influence by the personal biases or the recent events. So this is not actually used commonly for teacher appraisal, this annual confidential report. Now, the second one, because we have discussed about the annual confidential report that has the problem of the personal biases also. To solve this problem, to overcome this problem, another method of appraisal is multiple source appraisal method, and where you will be taking appraisals from multiple sources. In this method, performance is appraised by the immediate senior, and then whatever the report is given, that is being reviewed by the next senior, and then countersigned by the senior most official. Like when we talk about this school, for example, if you are from giving a report about the performances of a secondary teacher, that will be appraised by the departmental head. Then that departmental head will submit the report to the vice principal, who will review the report, and then that report will be countersigned by the senior most official, that is the principal of the institution. So this is multiple sources appraisal. Now, next is self appraisal by the teacher. The process begins with the teacher's own personal review of successes, or the failures, or whatever his professional and personal needs are. What one individual can do, because this is self appraisal, the individual is appraising himself. So what he can do is, an important tool is of which we usually use is, we can keep a diary and record all the thoughts about whatever the daily activities of the classroom are. And this reflective diary will give a reflection about the shortcomings, about the successes, about the failures of the individual in the teaching learning processes. And this might be a simple method which can be done by the teacher himself. The other method of self-assessment is by recording their views on the performances. If there are certain performers that has been designed for this specific objective, then they can, record their in those performers. And these performers are commonly known as the self-assessment forms. They give the information on the various criteria related to the individual's task. That might be teaching, learning, that might be contribution in the various activities of the school, that might be his personal limitations, the strength, the areas, and where the need of training is felt, what are the training needs to enhance the professional development. So there you need to frame a self-assessment form. The individual can himself fill the form and then give a self-appraisal by the teacher. So these are two ways where the self-appraisal is being done by the teacher. And the fourth one is the classroom or the task observation. As we have discussed earlier also, as a school head, you need to probably visit the classrooms, that too on a regular basis. And you will be able to know what is actually happening in the classroom. So this will help in the staff appraisal because you are already the part of the school's routine. And when you are writing the staff appraisal, you need to arrange a certain time for a specific lesson. You should be present at the duration in the whole period and observe the entire sequence of the lesson. Then you can know about how the teacher prepares for the classroom teaching, how he organizing the various resources that is required for the classroom teaching, how he manages the teaching learning process in the classroom. So you can have an overview of it, that too on a primary basis. You are not taking the secondary, you're not going for the secondary documentations. You are actually there empirically visiting the classes and having a observation of the classroom transactions. So these are the various methods of appraisal. Now, uh, another thing is when you go for the appraisal interview and target setting. When you have already gone for the classroom observation, and now you will look forward for meeting your teacher afterwards. So this interview or the meeting can vary. And there should be room for the classroom discussions also, whatever you have observed in the classroom. Actually, the purpose is not to criticize the teacher regarding his shortcomings or regarding his um, failures or regarding his problems or regarding his lacking in the skills, but it's the purpose is to assist the teacher and to help him in the professional development, and so that the learning experiences for the children becomes rich. They should be positive. you know mm, you should praise the individual first before constructively criticizing the individual. Begin with the praises first. Like for example, if you have seen the teacher doing certain work, so you can give an example that I noticed how you were trying to keep the clever ones busy and occupied when the slow ones were doing or finishing their work. So this gives a positive, remark to the teacher. Then this helps in building the confidence and self-esteem, because the teacher is now ready to discuss about the uncertainties, about the shortcomings, about the problems of his or her work. You know, as we have discussed earlier, when there is a self appraisal done by the teacher, you might have noticed certain things in his diary. Then you can discuss with the teacher what his shortcomings, what were his hindrances, what were his problems, and then you can discuss about providing the ways, give him the suggestions how to group these pupils so that the different ability students, they are form a heterogeneous groups. So from the interview discussion, in the interview your targets can be set. You can offer him that how you would be able to help him um, during their school hours through an in-service training. You can also encourage the teacher to try out the other working methods also, and also give him an assurance that there will be a full support during the time of change. Because if you ask him that you need to change certain teaching methodologies or skill, that might be a stressful condition for the teacher, and the teacher might have a fear of failure, because nobody wants to take risk. People don't even prefer to take risk. But you need to encourage him, because you need to tell him that you will be there to help him for the in-service trainings, and you will be able to facilitate the individual. So there are some avoidance behavior like lateness or absenteeism or alcohol abuse, that can stem out from the feelings of inadequacy, that the individual is not feeling adequate enough. So there are certain teachers where lessons are badly prepared, and can be asked if he or she thinks that the lesson would have been better if he or she had not been late or drunk. This opens up the subject, but in a positive spirit, where there might be a frank discussion on the teacher's professional responsibilities. Here, you can set the targets which must be realistic, and whatever improvement should be given or commented by the teacher. Like you can, give a positive remark to him. Like, you were late one day in this week. Keep trying. The teaching will be better. You should be. Then that positive comment, any improvemental comment, will boost up the morale of the teacher and will help him in bringing the real improvement in his teaching learning practices. So, next we will talk about the follow up on appraisal report. And after the performance has been fully evaluated and discussed with the concerned employee, the important task is to follow up on the report. The follow up, it involves the analysis of first the problems faced by the staff members. There might be many problems that might be faced by the different individuals, but you need to analyze the genuine problems. which are in common and which are in common and mostly faced by most of the staff members, and then you have to prioritize the list of those problems. You need to sort out the problems according to the priority. Secondly, what you need to do is you need to identify the need of any training and development program. When you have listed the problems, the genuine problems of the staff members, which maximum of the staff members face, and you have identified those problems, you need to identify the need of training. It might be any updation of the knowledge or the technical competencies or methodology in teaching and carrying out responsibility. Like it's a technological revolution which is very fast and ever changing. So the staff might be needing a continuous development to keep in pace with the same. So you need to identify which kind of training or the development program will solve the problems of the staff members. Next is you consider assigning of higher responsibilities. When you have seen the performances, you have given the performances or the appraisal reports, you need to set the responsibilities again. You need to give them, you need to give additional responsibilities, or you need to withdraw some of the responsibilities according to their performances. And next is you need to segregate the outstanding performances, who are performing well in your institution, the mediocre performances and the poor performances. And then you need to plan a suitable reward. Like for the outstanding performers, you can give them rewards or promotions. For the poor performers, you need to plan for the remedial measures. You need to identify their training requirements and need to focus on the in services trainings, the measures which will be undertaken for improving their performances. And finally, the training and developmental activities. There are some development activities that needs to be carried out within the school. Like as a head of the department, you may help in the improvement in the teachers' skills in classroom management. You would tell him how to manage the class, or you may ask the school inspector or the subject advisor to arrange in-service training on a course. You yourself can initiate the course, or you can take the help of other subject advisors to take the in-service training on a particular course. And the teacher, after following the appraisal, should show a leadership potential, and whatever the changes which you have seen after the developmental activities and the training activities, that should be communicated to the senior management. They should be informed about it. After following the appraisal and after the training and the developmental activities. Other activities might be formal, external, and in-house training such as coaching, work shadowing placements, projects, leadership, seminars, workshops, provision of learning materials. So it's your responsibility. You need to look forward into the how you will plan for a training program, looking and considering the cost initiatives, how much cost it will require, when will be required on a year basis, and then afterwards, when the training is being given to the required staff members, then you have to see to it that the training is being reflected in the school development plan also, that that individual is identified and training needs are given appropriate training. Whatever the needs are, it's according to their requirement, the trainings are being provided to the staff. And when lastly, we will be talking about the benefits of the appraisal. Um, as we have seen that appraisal is always done for, it has many uses for the teacher, not only for the teacher, but also for the head teacher and the school itself. and we will be summarizing some of the benefits, like skill development, as we always have discussed in the appraisal, staff appraisal also, that the key goal of staff appraisal is not to criticize that individual on his lacking or on his weaknesses, but focus on the development of the staff. So basically, when we have gone through the appraisal of the staff, we can develop the skills of the individual, the staff members, and that too through an in-service training program. And then through the in-service trainings, the teaching styles of the teacher may change, and this will definitely help in achieving the organizational goals that will often be assisted by the organizational changes also. Next is, this staff appraisal has the benefit of career development of the staff members. It's always done through the in-service training programs, which are being initiated by the organizations. Next is there will be improved relationships, because staff appraisal will help the individual whose staff appraisal is being done to have a mutual trust and respect with the one who is doing it. Then they will be able to share what the individual's lacking is, what his weaknesses is, with the one who is doing the appraisal. So there is an improvement in the relationship. There is a better understanding between the staff members and the immediate seniors. Moreover, there is an increased knowledge of the school as well as the individual, because when the skills are developed of the staff members, that will definitely enhance the working capacity, the efficiency of the institution as well, not only of the individuals but of the institution as well. So there will be increased knowledge of the schools and the individuals. Next is, there will be productive links between appraisal and the school development and planning, because when you are looking forward for the school development, you need to know about the appraisal, staff appraisal also, because through planning of the various in-service trainings in the planning structure, then only you will result in the school development, because and you will be enhancing the capabilities of your staff members, that will definitely result in the school development. So all of these are the productive links. There is improved learning opportunities for pupils, because whatever the hindrances, whatever the weaknesses, whatever the problems of the staff members are, they are actually met through the staff appraisal. They will be able to communicate what their requirements are, what their needs are, and they will be assisted through the in-service training programs that will be initiated by the organization, and that will definitely improve the learning opportunities of the teachers, and definitely that will be reflected in the teaching learning experiences which will be given to the pupils. And last is improved morale and efficiency within the school. That is very much true, because when the efficiency of the staff members is enhanced, definitely that will improve the efficiency within the schools. And so I come to the end of the unit 8. If you have any query on the previous units or on this unit 8, you may please kindly raise your queries. Um, I'm here to answer your queries now. If you have any queries, please kindly raise your queries. If you have any queries, please kindly raise your queries. All right. I think there are no queries. I think uh, my presentation was okay today, and this is my last counseling session with you all. And in the next session for MES 005, another counselor will be taking your sessions, counseling sessions. So I end this counseling session for today. Again, I am asking if you have any query, you may please raise your query.
Thank you, ma.
Okay, thank you, Muniba.
The session was successful. Thank you for being with us.
Okay, thank you so much. Next time in the next classes, you will be, counseled by another counselor from Delhi in the head center. So today I'm just ending this session now. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you,
Thank
ma.
you, ma.
Have a good day.
Good day to you all.
Good day, ma.
हो गई बंद हो गया रिकॉर्ड क्यों नहीं हो रही